Sliding Center. Starting time for round 1, 4.83. Sliding off, 1 3. For attention, 15 minutes left before the World Cup.
Attention, 5 minutes for Grotheer 5 minutes for Grotheer.
Liebe Grüße an der Horn, danke fürs Anfeuern. On this track on a race day. Whew, one more, let's go. Could have been worse.
Now, reaching corner 6. Sliding Briton Freya Tarbit 79.61. Reaching corner tower. Down to low point, Tarbit 95.438.
From 1 and not 2. Attention, 15 minutes left for the World Cup.
Welcome back to the National Sliding Center at Yanqing in China as we get ready for the second and deciding heat in race 3 of the IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup. After 30 sleds competed in heat 1, the fastest 25 go through into heat 2 at this phenomenal facility that is our most recent Winter Olympic track. So 25 sleds, 11 nations. Now, in the men's competition, 3 athletes have won all the medals so far in the 2 opening races this season. In the women's competition, in 3 races, there have been 8 different medalists. However, the same 3 from Korea, race 1 and 2, are in the top 3 here in China. Marcus Wyatt, with 2 silver medals in Korea, lies in 3rd place. And he is just a whisker, 14 hundredths ahead of Yanqing of China. So that is not necessarily a guaranteed spot. In 2nd place is the man who won both races from first in both first heats in Korea. He held on to dominate. With 2 gold medals, he is the Olympic champion on this track, Germany's Grotheer. He's also the reigning world champion, but ahead of him by just 1100ths of a second, he's only 100th ahead of Marcus Wyatt, is Great Britain's Matt Weston, the bronze medalist in both races in Korea. Matt, last year's World Cup champion and the previous season's overall world champion in Samoritz. First decent run in competition down this track. Competed here in the Olympic Games, finished a disappointing 15th and was 10th placed in last year's World Cup encounter, but leads the field here after the first of our 2 heats. So those are the top 3. Yanqing not out of it yet, and the rookie Chu Haifeng, I don't know, maybe, seems unlikely, but possibly. Then there's a tie between Sammy Meyer and Chen Wenhao of China. They are tied for 6th position. There's another tie for 12th place, Rasmus Johansson and Craig Thompson. And we have another tie for 23rd place between Australia's Nick Timmings and Switzerland's Livio Sumamato. So lots of ties and lots of very close battles to be decided. Air temperature dropping down towards freezing. Christopher Grotheer having a snooze. And the ice, I know. The ice hovers around -4, -5. So it should be quick and hard and fast all the way through the runs. And that's what we want. With the very mild, very warm and humid weather in Korea, it was hard to keep the track consistent, but this should be a little easier. Giovanni Marchetti, the Italian rookie, will be first off. So he gets us underway, and we go 25 down to 1 in order of their first heat form, with last going first and first going last. So Matt Weston will be the last out of the changing room, looking to defend a slender lead over his fellow medalists from Korea. Italy's Giovanni Marchetti gets our 2nd heat underway here in the Yanqing National Sliding Center, race 3 at the IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup in China, 22 Winter Olympic venue. 481 getaway for the Italian, 483 in the first heat. Little trouble in corner 2, tap the wall coming into 3 as well. First time on this track for Giovanni, the 26-year-old. Most of his 2 results in career, a 17th place finish. Had a little more experience because the week before the World Cup race, everybody competed in 2 races in the Asia Cup, so they effectively had a fortnight on the track. Here they've had 6 training runs. This is now his 8th trip down this track. And as you can imagine, things like this take a lot of learning. 16 corners. And not one of them in isolation. 121 kilometers an hour down at the bottom. And across the line, avoiding the wall, 62.68. Well, that's getting on for a second quicker than his first heat, which was a 63.51. So, substantial improvement for Giovanni Marchetti. And you can imagine, with another week, you'd start to tidy up all of the little errors that creep in and start to fine things up. So coming in as a rookie doesn't mean you got no experience of any of the tracks, but certainly having competed in Europe Cup, he won't have had experience of Korea or China before now. So going into competition with the very best in the world, off just 6 training runs. He's not the only one to do it. Yeah, well, he will know Altenberg better. That's in 2 weeks' time. That'll be the next round of action for the Skeleton World Cup, and also Bobsleigh will join in then as well. That'll be their season opener in World Cup racing. Livio Summermatter of Switzerland next up. 16th fastest starter, so got away a couple of hundred slower than Giovanni Marchetti in the first heat. Youth Olympic bronze medalist in 2020, Livio. In his 10th World Cup now, just 22 years old. A big, long, rangy figure, which is excellent in terms of aerodynamics. Also means that he carries a decent amount of mass on the sled, and the heavier you are, the faster gravity will accelerate you, unless you interfere by skidding and hitting things on the way down. He's smooth so far, not at all that much different actually from Giovanni Marchetti's run. Oh, and hard hits 9 to 10. He'll have felt them. Not quite as quick as Marchetti into the 360-degree spiral, trying to keep his nose up there to avoid the observations, but the sled was skidding away underneath him. That will have robbed him of a bit of speed as well. He's gone from 6/10 up into the red. He won't drop out of the top 25, but he will lose a spot there, so Giovanni Marchetti moves up. So Giovanni in the leader's box. Now he had a little stripe shaved in his head last weekend because he was a rookie. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it is. He's had he's had it evened up. He's had a bit more of a skin fade, Giovanni. So Livio, decent start. 481, 500s, 400s quicker than his first start, but just a few little rookie errors creeping in. And yeah, that run 9:10, that will have been pretty uncomfortable. Two big hits there.
First run, thank you for watching.
All right, first time on this Olympic track. Next up, Nick Timmings for Australia. So twin brother Dean was holding the sled for him when we were in Korea. It is not Dean this weekend. That is Jeff Payne. Now, Jeff Payne is the coach of Korea, but also helping out with Nick's sled. Now, let's see where we get to from here. 23rd after the first heat. And 497, so a couple of hundreds quicker than his first start. I wonder if the start area is just becoming a little faster, or whether he's just found a fraction more. World Cup best result, 19th place. He almost equalled it last weekend in race 2 when he finished 20th. Ooh, big hit there though, unfortunately. And that half-second advantage might take a bit of a battering. Well, better 9 to 10 than we saw for Livio Summermatter. 3,800s up on Giovanni Marchetti. Second best speed to Marchetti. Marchetti's the fastest sled at every clock so far. He's not now, 1:59. That's a kilometre an hour quicker. In fact, nearly 2 k's quicker for Nick Timmings. Good looking second run. Just gets pushed away a little in 15. And avoids the wall out of 16. 1:02.44. That's 4,400s better than his first run. So that's a substantial improvement. Marchetti out of the leader's box, and Nick Timmings moves in. Now Nick potentially, relatively straightforwardly, has the chance to move up at least a couple of spots without major errors from those ahead, because that's a good improvement on the first run. Got pushed away a little down in, that's 13, isn't it? Just got on a little early and got pushed away by the fillet.
Good chat to you.
All right, tell me the story of the helmet later. Another great looking helmet. This is Dan Barefoot of the USA. Just 400s, as you can see, ahead of Nick in the first heat. Dan in 22nd place, Nick in 23rd. And while Nick Timmings is in only his 20th World Cup start, Dan Barefoot in his 10th. So let's see what he can produce here. 486 start compared to 485 in the first heat. So right on the money. Ooh, right up by the woodwork. There was a touch there, wasn't there? There was only a touch. I mean, it wasn't a whack. Not bad out of 4. 5 to 6 transition was pretty clean as well. This is good. So limiting the damage. Up to 3,300s up now, so he really is extending that advantage over Nick Timmings. Decent speed, and actually quicker than the Aussie by 1.5 kilometres an hour. So substantial speed advantage into the lower part of the track. Second quickest now, so he's given some of that away. Nick was fastest at the bottom, 4,500s up, 102.03, 81 of a second improvement. Well, if he'd done that in the first heat, it would actually only have left him 1 spot higher up than he was. Nevertheless, all improvements are very welcome, and to be 0.8 better between runs again shows the rate at which he's learning this track that is very much a new proposition to him.
A little bit better. We'll see.
All right. So, Dan Barefoot takes the lead after our first 4 sleds. Next up for Ukraine, Yaroslav Lavrenyuk. 24th fastest starter. Came down in 21st place. Yaroslav, the youngest athletes in the World Cup, just 17 years old. There are 2 female sliders who are 17 as well. Youth Olympic silver medalist in Pyeongchang 2024 rather, from Olympic Games. It's a bit young to be competing in 2018, it would have been 10. So 495 getaway, a couple of hundreds quicker than his first as well. And like his teammate Vladislav Heraskevich, he does have some good form. Just a little brush on the wall exiting 4. 5 to 6. Okay, just creeping away a fraction from Dan Barefoot. Speed is good, form is excellent. Ooh, little skid. 3rd best speed. Giovanni Marchetti was fastest going onto the Kreisel. 3rd best speed coming off. Dan Barefoot was fastest there, so the gap over the leader disappears. He needs to be quick at the bottom. I think Dan was 3rd fastest. He is 3rd fastest now. Not sure that's enough to close the gap. He will drop a spot. He does. So 102.34. Still 3,500s faster than his first run. So Dan Barefoot stays in the leader's box, picks up a spot. I'll now refer to his best World Cup result, which is 16th, so he's got to pick a few more off. Yaroslav's best result, 24th, and he is in 2nd place with 20 to go, so that is another personal milestone. That is going to be, even if nothing else changes, his best ever World Cup result. So Yaroslav Lavrenyuk will be no worse than 22nd. That's the top 5, 20 to go. 20 sleds left. Race 3 of the IBSF Men's Skeleton World Cup from Yanqing in China. In 20th place after the first of the 2 heats, Switzerland's Vincent Buff. Started 26th fastest, came down in 20th place, so out-driving his start. Started 4.99 in the first heat. You never know, every 100th could count. 4.98, all helps. Going forward rather than going backwards definitely always helps. I didn't compete here last year. Best World Cup result so far in his previous 9 races for Vincent was in race 1 in Pyeongchang, 11th place finish. Finished 22nd in race 2. Again, a track he didn't know well, but again, they had the previous week doing Asia Cup races, so knew it a lot better getting into the World Cup than he does this track. Best speed of all, 1:12.9. Quicker than Giovanni Marchetti for the first time, somebody is. 1:18.5, fastest again. He's a very stylish slider, this young man. Really like watching him on the sled. Best speed of all again. Good run from the 23-year-old Swiss, and across the line, 1:01.79. Well, that's a 1500ths of a second better than his first heat. So he will still be beating himself up later about the errors, but right now I think that felt pretty decent. So he's in the lead with 19 to go. Might yet move up. Nice smooth lines, keeps his form well. Heads up a little, but that's just an indication of how he doesn't know this track. Again, no insult to the athletes, lots of them have not been here before. Into the leader's box he goes. Dan Barefoot offers his congratulations. So Dan in second place, Yaroslav Lavrenyuk in third, as we get to 19 sleds to go. And the second of our Italians, Mattia Gaspari. Mattia, 24th fastest start, 4:97. A bit of an untidy run as well. If he tidies up, slides as well as we know he can, then he might be in the leader's box for a while. Nice height into, good exit. All right, so far it's all in the positive column. 900s up. Oh, taps out of 4. Don't forget that Vincent Buff is fastest all the way down from here. 1600s up. Speed onto the Kreisel is going to be really important. Nice exit out of 10. Best speed of all, 1:13.8. Kilometre an hour quicker than the Swiss. Decent exit, still best speed. And just the tiniest whisker ahead of Vincent Buff in terms of speed. Little rub there, 1:27.1. That's enough to put Mattia Gaspari into the lead by 1600s, 1:01.66. So 2500s quicker than his first run. It was tidier, definitely, and he was rewarded with that. Couple of little errors below the Kreisel. Otherwise, he could have been another quarter of a second faster, I think. But an improvement from Mattia Gaspari. Here, out of 4, takes a rub down the wall. Takes away vital speed early in the run, and you have to be very good to make it back up. Well, a better run, but not much consolation when you're down in the low teens. Now, not too far ahead, Mattia Gaspari is the next slider. Mattia moves into the leader's box, and Vincent Buff disappears. And Alex Schlintner, just 1500s, his first heat advantage. Starts a little quicker, 4:86 compared to 4:97 of Mattia. So that will give him another 1100s, giving him a quarter of a second advantage as he lies down on the sled. And he's giving away a lot in terms of knowledge. It's his 20th World Cup start today. It's a 4:87. Nice exit out of 2. quiet run so far from Alexander Schlindner. Oh, 9-10 wasn't comfortable. Second best speed behind Mattia Gaspari, who's the fastest all the way down, apart from in the start. 1:18.6 compared to 1:19.0 of Gaspari, so the gap is continuing just about to hold stable, but it won't for long. If you're not as fast, then going uphill all the way to the finish line isn't going to help build speed. 1:01.61, 0.05 of a second quicker than Mattia on that run. So he opens up his first heat advantage to 0.2 of a second as he moves into the leader's box. So that improvement from Mattia Gaspari, not enough to keep him in the lead. Alex Schlindner takes over. Like so many, with the runner in the right-hand groove. Most athletes are right-handers, and so they tend to have their right hand on the sled, and that then means you put the furthest runner normally in one of the start grooves. Okay, not bad. Moves into the leader's box, which is that away. So 17 to go. And next up, Austin Florian of the USA. Massive advantage, as you can see, over our current leader of just 0.03 of a second. I don't know what distance that is as they're crossing the finish line, doing 120 or 130 nearly kilometres now, but it ain't much. 4:67. Good getaway again. 4:68 in the first heat, so faster again. He is the second fastest starter in the field, Austin Florian. Rub exiting 4. That takes a bit of speed out of the sled. He's opened up half a second. Oh, and a little uncomfortable there as well. That's the 5th fastest sled, so the gap's coming back down from half a second to 4/10. 4th best speed, to be down to 3/10 at the next clock. Ooh, and a little uncomfortable there, 4th best speed. Should still be a couple of tenths in front. He was only 300s up on Schlindner in the first run. He was only 500s up. Wow. 1:01.59. Always underestimate how much time touches on the wall and little meanders down below the Kreisel are going to cost you. Below the Kreisel, you sort of drop down to 12, and then everything else is pretty much uphill. Uphill into 13. And then uphill from 14, 15, all the way to the finish line. Well, what a start this guy has got. And when we're on tracks where he's more familiar with the track itself, that is going to pay off. There's a 10th, at least, gone away there. Just that one run up the wall. So Austin Florian of the USA is our leader. Next up, Axel Jung of Germany. He had the tiniest measurable margin in hand over Austin Florian, 1/100th of a second. We've got 3 dead heats to come. But Axel did have a slender advantage. Can he hang on to it? He's not starting as strongly as he should be after a muscle tear just before the competitive season got underway. 4:90. He is struggling. .2300s adrift at the start compared to the current leader, so there's a lot of very slick, smooth sliding needs to be done to undo that start advantage. 3700s back, he's stopped the bleeding. Looking good here. That's a little better, 9 to 10, I think, than Austin Florian. Not quite as quick as the best speed, but he's in there swinging, bringing the gap down. 37 to 2600s, best speed of all below the Kreisel. A 10th back. Don't forget, Austin Florian was high on the wall, 14 to 15. Axel not so much, and he's in the green. He will take the lead in the line by 0.3 of a second. So from 100 to 0.3 up. 61.30 slide. That is 4400s better than his first run. So that is a substantial improvement for somebody who is as experienced as the Olympic silver medalist on this track. That's right, 2 years ago, Axel finished in the silver medal position in the Olympic Games. And now he is fighting to get into the top 15. And that's partly what losing your start does for you. 74th World Cup race for Axel Jung, and he is our leader. 10 down, 15 still to go. The Olympic champion with a lot of work to do. In the top 15 is Italy's Amedeo Bagnis, 9th fastest starter, and he was equally quick with the next athlete behind him, Felix Kaisinger, separated by just a few hundredths of a second. 800s in hand over Axel Jung, but with the German's second run, Amedeo is going to have to find something very special. World Championship silver medalist in St. Moritz a couple of years ago. Finished 14th and then 13th last weekend in Korea. He'll be doing well to get to that height in this race. It is a tightly packed 10 to 20 group, but nevertheless, 2300s over Axel at the start. It's still 2900s up. This is a very nice looking run. This might actually be his best run of the season so far, Amedeo. Only the 8th best speed though. A little bit like in Korea, a little bit like with the women. Something is awry. 101.41 drops back. All came sort of unstitched below the Kreisel where Axel Jung was so good. The Ironman helmet not helping here. Amedeo Bagnis shakes his head as he slips a spot. And our Olympic silver medalist from Beijing stays in the leader's box.
Once again, for Amedeo, finish time 61.41. Starting time 0.75.
A little bit 6s and 7s down below the Kreisel. Very easy to lose a lot of time there, and he did. Next up for Germany, Felix Kaisinger. Kaisi started start draw number 2 in his 36th World Cup. First time here, and a slender advantage over Axel Jung, his teammate, 1300ths of a second. Kaisi 8th and 9th, or 9th and 8th, in 2 races last weekend. Again, top 10 seems highly unlikely from this position. 14th after the first heat. 4.79, so 1100ths up on Axel Jung, added to his first heat advantage, so a 1/4 of a second up, and that initial burst of acceleration carries you pretty much all the way down to turn 6 if you aren't rubbing it off on the walls. So far clean, down to 6, 1/4 of a second up. Not adding much, but he's still holding that advantage. Now the worry there is he's not adding much. So what's his speed like? 5th best. Matti Gaspari was fastest, but I think Axel Jung was quicker there. Jung is quickest below the Kreisel, and Kaisi is only 8th fastest and rubbing some of that speed off against the wall as well. 12th sled on ice, only 9th fastest at the bottom. He's going to lose 2 or 3 places. 3. So only the 6th best run. Only the 6th best run out of 12 sleds so far. So Felix Kaisinger drops a couple behind Axel Jung and Amadeo Banhis. Tied for 3rd at the moment with Austin Florian. Well, as ever, a good start, but pinballing out of the Kreisel, not helping. And then 13, up and down and up and down. Well, avoided the big dramas, 14 and 15, down in the dip there, but hey-ho. Well, next track will be one he knows a lot better, and one that Axel knows intimately, Winterberg in Saxony. Rasmus Johansson of Denmark probably knows that one pretty well as well, having trained a lot with the Germans. So he's done a lot of pre- and post-season Altenburg and Winterberg over the last few years. And the young Dane has had a good start to the season. 4th in race 1 in Beijing and 8th in race 2 without Weird Ice playing too much of a hand. Really good start to the year. 483, 13th fastest start in the first heat, came down in 12th, so 484, and it's what he's learning from the Germans about how to drive, about the lines, big height in 2, just gets away with it, and about using the equipment well. Roommate with Christopher Grotheer, Chris was saying after the race last weekend, really happy to take his first win of the season at the Pyeongchang track, but even more excited that Rasmus was in 4th place comfortably at that stage. Rasmus's best World Cup result. Best speed of all for the Dane. So he's in the lead by 16 hundredths, but only the 5th best speed off the Kreisel. And Axel Jung was fastest of all down at the bottom. 800s, not enough. A little scrape and a scratch there. It's going to be very close, but I don't think he's got what it takes. 400s back, 101.52. Another good run though. 400s quicker than his first. So Axel takes the lead. And the young Dane actually drops 2 spots. So 400s back is not second, because 300s back is Amadeo Banhis. It is tight, isn't it? This is World Cup racing. Every 100th counts. It's been a good start to the season, though, for Rasmus Johansson. His sister Nana was competing in the women's races in Korea as well. So the first time they've been together competing on tour. So I'm sure they will be very happy getting onto German ice as well in a couple of weeks. So I talked about 3 ties in the field. Rasmus Johansson tied the time set by Craig Thompson, and they ended up 12th place after the end of the first heat.
Good.
Matthias Guggenberger with the sled, and Googie and the Ducours family developing these sleds for the British sliders. They were learning their way around them over the last year and a half. And now they are really fluid. Seems to be a sled, hits the woodwork and really hits it. Seems to be a sled that really allows the slider to flow and think their way down the track rather than having to physically steer it so much. So they had to learn a whole new way of sliding. Again, a little uncomfortable there. Quarter of a second up on Axel Jung, but he needs to have a very good Kreisel. He's gone from 4100s up into the red before the Kreisel, and only the 13th best speed. The timing's not right for Craig Thompson. 10th best speed, nothing like what he needs. He is going to plummet now. 11th best speed. Disastrous second run for the British slider. Drops 8 spots. 9th place out of the 14 sleds so far. So that will be a top 20 finish, but only just. That's a disappointment for Craig Thompson. 13th and 6th in Korea. Tail end of the top 20, not where he would have hoped to go. It all started off well with the start, but 1 to 2, look at this in turn 2, boom. Tabby Stokered the woodwork there, and again, 5 to 6. Hit the woodwork in 5, clattered on to 6. And that just robs you of all your initial speed. So Axel Jung still leads as we head closer to the top 10. Now 10 to 20 was a very tight-knit group. In 11th place, Kim Ji-soo of Korea. Third fastest starter in the field, 4:69. Japanese legend Katsuhiro Koshi holding the sled for him. Another Japanese slider from World Cup a few years ago. He's also helping development program sliders for Korea. Half a second up on Axel Jung. Had 4400s in hand as he lay down. Drifting away. That was a hit between 9 and 10 as well. Only the 12th best speed. This is not good at all for the Korean slider. Axel Jung was flying at the bottom and was pretty clean as well. 1300s is not going to be enough. He's scratching and scraping his way through 13. He's meandering between 13 and 16, and at the line he's hit the wall as well. 101.84. So 3500 slower than his first heat, and he drops 3 spots into 4th. So Axel Jung leads from Amadeo Banyas and Rasmus Johansson. Kim Ji-soo slips down the order. So he is 100th ahead of the tie for 5th between Felix Kaisinger and Austin Florian. But yeah, a lot of it was not comfortable viewing. Axel Jung, Amadeo Banyas and Rasmus Johansson, the top 3 with 10 to go. In the top 10 after the first of 2 heats here at the Yanqing National Sliding Center outside Beijing. Race 3 of the IBSF Skeleton World Cup. We find one of 2 Chinese rookies this season, Lin Chen Wei. We have 3 Chinese athletes still to go as we get into the top 10. Lin, the first off, and 4:69 getaway. Excellent starting, 4:66 in the first heat, but right up the work of turn 2. Half a second up on Axel Jung. Now just seen Kim Ji-soo of Korea go from 5600s up to 2900s back. Lin needs a tidy run. Gap's coming down, 4700s. Third best speed, fastest at that stage, the Dane Rasmus Johansson. Fastest below, Axel Jung. And he's only 5th best speed. He's a whole kilometre an hour down on Jung. Gap's 3300s, that might be enough. 6th best speed, it should be enough. If he can keep it clean, he should have the lead, and he does, 101.38. So he takes the lead away from Axel Jung. Axel 1900s back. Amadeo Banyas in 3rd, 2200s back, 9 to go. So Lin Chen Wei for China in his 3rd World Cup start. Finished 18th and 7th last weekend in Korea. And on home ice, top 10 finish guaranteed, his 2nd of his World Cup career. The question is, Oof. How much higher will he rise up the order, if at all? Because he is up against quite a lot of experience, even though he knows this track. Yeah, he saw that hit in too, didn't he? Went, did I really do that? I really did, didn't I? Wry smile on his face. Vladislav Hereskevich of Ukraine, 100th in front of Lin Chenwei. And Lin with more experience for sure of this track than Vlad. Let's see what he can produce. Big yells at the top from his dad, Mikhail, the coach. 57th World Cup start for Vladislav Hereskevich. 4.90 the getaway. So starting 2100 slower than his rival, and as a result, that 100th advantage is now a 3/10 deficit. So this is going to need a real textbook drive. He was a little late off 4. He's clean 5 to 6 and is bringing the margin back. It's gone from 3/10 back to 2800s. Nice into 10. Good exit into the Kreisel. 4th best speed. Quicker than the leader was at this stage. Needs a good exit here, gets a good exit. Best speed of all, 1:19.2. Tied for speed with Axel Jung. Still in the deficit. 1700s, I don't know. I don't think it's enough at the line. It's not quite, 1:01.49. So he slips a spot behind Lin Chenwei there. Well, that will guarantee him a top 10 finish at least. So 8th, 11th and 10th at worst will be his results so far this season. Strong start for Vladislav Hereskevich. And both he and his teammate are looking relatively happy with their days. Yaroslav Lavrenyuk. So, Lin Chenwei of China, the leader, from Vladislav Hereskevich and Axel Jung, as we get to Germany's rookie this season. That is Lucas David Neidegger. And with a slightly larger lead over Lin. 4 whole hundreds. Let's see if he's got what it takes to hold on. Reigning Europe Cup champion, junior world champion. Oh, coming out of the grooves. Is he going to avoid the wall? How did that happen? How did he avoid the wall? Lot of work going on there to do so. Start 4.95, but he will be low speed. We've seen bigger disasters at the start. Ooh, 5 to 6, about 9 to 10 rather, not comfortable either. It was 5 to 6, wasn't it? This is 9 to 10. Here we go, 10th best speed. It's a long, long way from the start clock all the way down to turn 10 when we get the next indication of speed. He's recovering his composure now. It's a real shame because 8th fastest in the first heat. He had a really good run going, Neidegger. 18th and 10th last weekend at the line. 10th place with 8 to go. Yep. And that start. Well, if things like that happen, you hope that they only ever happen in training. They don't only ever happen in training. Sometimes they happen in the Olympic Games. Good first run. Less said about the second run, the better. So he loads, but doesn't load square, and it just pops out of the groove. It doesn't catch in the other groove, and he's scrambling. He just did clip the edge of where the luge track comes in. Then he was up in the woodwork in 2. Well, both sides of the coin. for Lucas Nidegger. But we know he's got plenty going for him. Junior world champion and last year's Europe Cup champion. So what about Chen Wenhao of China? Well, Chen in a tie for 6th position with Sami Meyer of Austria. They're 72 hundredths off the lead, 6/10 out of the medals. He's not the best placed Chinese athlete. He's not the 2nd best placed Chinese athlete. He is the 3rd best placed Chinese athlete. 4 of them in the top 10. 4.70 start, very quick getaway from Chen, but he made mistakes down the run in the first heat. It's looking tighter in the second, it's sounding tighter in the second. Gradually building a slender advantage over his compatriot. Only the 5th best speed. Little tap, the 10th best speed off the Kreisel. It was the bottom part of the track that undid Chen in the first run, and I feel it's going to here as well. Only the 8th best speed. I think Lin's got this at the line. It's going to be to the 100th, 600s back. Well, Lin Chen-wei laid down a good second heat, 101.38. Would have left him in 6th place after the first heat, rather than where he was, which was in 10th. Chen Wenhao slips into 2nd. 2 more Chinese sliders to come in the remaining 6 sleds. Skidding and hitting the wall, less than ideal. Well, it's double feelings or mixed feelings, isn't it? You know, delighted to take the lead, disappointed for his teammate, but in the end also delighted to beat an experienced teammate like Chen. First out of the blocks this evening was Sami Meyer of Austria. He was tied with Chen Wenhao, so he too has 500s in hand over Lin Chen-wei, our current leader. What's he going to do at the start? 4.86 first heat, 4.89 second. Gives away 2/10 of the start to Lin. Lin, the fastest starter in the field. 1500s back to 2100s back. Now he's bringing it back 1800s. He's had a really strong start to the season, Sami Meyer. He's looked very smooth, very relaxed on the sleds. The equipment is working well. The speed isn't brilliant. And the gap is going to grow again. Lin will be the leader after this sled as well. He will lead with 5 to go. And Sami Meyer may well drop half a dozen positions here. Where's he going to be in the line? 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th? Well, Lin Chen-wei of China, in only his 3rd World Cup start, will be on the wider podium. 18th and 7th last week. He leads with 5 to go. Sami Meyer 7th with 5 to go. Well, after 6th and 4th last weekend, he will have hoped for a lot more from Beijing. But I'm afraid the Snow Dragon did not have that in store for him in the second heat.
Hi.
Top 6 run in the first heat. Not a top 6 run in the second. Lin Chen-wei leads from Chen Wenhao and Vladislav Heraskevich. 5 to go. Final 5 sleds on ice, no more ties. Goodness me, what's going on? But we have a rookie in our midst, Chu Hai-feng. 3rd World Cup start for Chu. 26 years of age. Mostly raced in the Intercontinental Cup a couple of seasons ago and Europe Cup last year. And his World Cup debut last weekend. 17th and 19th in Korea. 5th in the first run here, 4.80, so just a whisker shy of his 4.77 first heat. Right up by the woodwork, brought it down early. Rose on the exit of 2. Better out of 4. But he gave away time in 1 and 2 that he didn't want to. Now opening up his lead over Lin. 2600s up now. Oh, uncomfortable flop of 10. And the speed has gone. Speed has really gone. He's the 21st sled. He's only 15th, 16th best speed. He's in the green at the moment. He won't be at the line. Question is, as Lin leads, how far does he fall? He's surely not going to hold on. He doesn't. Only 400s back, though. Wow. Lin will be no worse than 5th. These two rookies, 5th and 6th on the wider podium here in Beijing. And 4 to go. 400s behind his teammate. The speed coming out of the Kreisel was so low, really thought he was going to drop a lot further back, but he somehow managed to gather it all back together. He was clean enough down at the bottom. Well, he'll be disappointed to drop behind Lin and not to move up. So we have a Chinese 1-2. In fact, we have a Chinese 1-2-3 at the moment. And at the line, Yanqing, our World Championship bronze medalist from Winterberg in February. He started 4.75 in the first heat. He's got a handy advantage. 4.75 in the second gives him 45 hundredths in hand. He cannot give that away, surely. Nice, smooth lines. Absolutely silent. Tap. Really nice looking run so far from Yanqing. 7 tenths up, 1:14.9, best speed of all. So he's gone from 4500s up at the start to 7 tenths. This might be a shot for the medals. 1:19.3, tiniest bit quicker than Axel Jung. At the line, he will be the leader. Only the 5th best speed at the bottom. 1:01.06. That's not as quick as his first heat, but it's enough to put him into the lead. It is a Chinese 1, 2, 3, 4 with 3 to go. So will the Chinese sliders get a medal here on home ice? Don't forget, in their home Olympics 2 years ago, Yan Wengang of China claimed the bronze behind Axel Jung and gold medalist Christopher Grotheer. Well, Yan, not in their World Cup squad, nor is Gong the first Chinese slider to win a World Cup gold medal. Yanqing leads the quartet, just takes the lead away from Lin. Well, just 8300s, but the most recent slider down to take the lead away. So 3 to go. The same 3 that completed the podium in race 1 and in race 2 in Korea. Marcus Wyatt with 2 silver medals in Korea, lies in 3rd place. 1200s covers the podium. And it was only 100th out of second. 4.69 getaway, another really strong start from Marcus Wyatt. second fastest of the heat. And he just looked so smooth all the way down. And listen, just barely hear anything. You can almost hear wind noise more than anything else. 1200s up. The gap's come down from 2/10. It's almost halved over Yanqing. Needs to have a superb Kreisel. Only 6th best speed. Yin was fastest here. Was fastest out of the Kreis as well. Yanqing may take a medal here. Marcus White with a slender advantage. 600ths of a second. It's gone. He needs to be super clean at the bottom. Too much noise, not enough speed. Yanqing's in the medals. Marcus White will be second at the line. He is in second place. Yanqing in the medals. Two silver medals for Marcus White so far this season. He is not guaranteed a medal here. The Chinese need to make full use of their home track advantage. That won't be the case anywhere else. Mind you, the Brits don't have home track advantage anywhere, really, since we don't have a track in the UK. Yeah, just a couple of errors creeping in above the Kreisel, took some speed away, and a couple below.
See you in Europe, Emmy. Love you. See you soon.
Yeah, quick trip home. Beijing, London, I would imagine. And a few days at home before heading off to Saxony. So Christopher Grotheer, 1500s up over Yanqing after the first heat. The Olympic champion on this track. Winner of both races in Korea. The reigning and 3-time world champion. Christopher Grotheer just looking so strong at the start of the season. It's gone from 900s up to 200s up. That slower start than Yanqing will pay out. He might even drop into the red. He does, but it's below turn 6, really through the Kreisel and at the bottom of the track, that he made all of his mileage in the first run. He'll tap out a 9 maybe. Second best speed. Yin was quicker. Is Yanqing still going to lead with 1 to go? Best speed of all for Christopher Grotheer. The FES sled absolutely flying. He brings the gap back down to a hair's breadth. He's in the lead. 1:28.7, best speed of all. If Leslie has a catastrophe, he takes the lead. 1:01.12. Well, 3/10 slower than his first run, but the first run doesn't matter. It's being quicker than your rivals over the 2 runs. So that second heat takes the lead away from Yanqing. It's Grotheer, Yin and Wyatt, the top 3. Then Lin, Xu and Chen. So Christopher Grotheer, the World Cup points leader with 2 wins already this season, leading with 1 to go. Big bump there, 5 to 6. Coach is liking that one.
Liebe Grüße nach Hause. Ich freue mich auf euch. Wir sehen uns morgen.
See you tomorrow. Maybe Monday morning by the time he lands. Okay, 1 to go. Great Britain's Matt Weston, 2023 world champion, last year's World Cup points winner. And the leader by 1100ths of a second, 4:68. Really strong start. 4:74 in the first heat, nice exit out of 2. He's going to have to be really, really smooth to beat Christopher Grotheer. That's a given. 2 bronze medals already in Korea. Matt Weston looking nice, looking for career win number 8 here. And some redemption after a very disappointing time in the 2022 Olympic Games and in last year's World Cup as well. That's a decent run, 6th best speed, 1900s up to 900s up. This is going to be very close. Needs to be very, very good indeed. Grotheer was very fast. This might be gold again for Christopher Grotheer. It is gold again for Christopher Grotheer by 1/100th of a second.
Good job, buddy. Holy shit, holy shit. Good job, good job.
1/100th of a second. He can't believe it.
Finish time 61.24 and second time 12.68. So that's it for tonight's race.
Grotheer's 3rd consecutive win this season. But Matt Weston had 2 good runs here. The second, not quite enough.
This is your track, mate. This is your
Well, he finished 10th last year in the World Cup, did Matt, and only 15th in the Winter Games after a disastrous start to the competition. And there was nothing in it. 100th of a second, the smallest measurable margin. Wow. Well, a change to the podium. Christopher Grotheer, as was before, still in first spot. Matt Weston takes the silver. Yanqing bronze ahead of Marcus Wyatt. Then Lin Qingwei, Chu Haifeng and Chen Wenhao, 5th, 6th and 7th for China. Vladislav Heraskevich in 8th place ahead of Axel Jungk and Amadeo Banyas. So our Olympic champion on this track confirms his ability here. He won last year's World Cup race. He won this year's World Cup race. He's raced 3 times on this track. He's won them all. So a hat-trick here in Beijing and a hat-trick this season as well for Christopher Grotheer. Wow. What a start to the season. And we haven't even got to a German track yet. Christopher Grotheer, by a slender margin, takes win number 3 of the season. Overturns an 1100s deficit. Take the gold medal by 1. So after a month away, 5 or 6 weeks away, pre-season and competition, they will all head home, apart from Chinese athletes, of course, who will probably head home a little bit and then head off to Europe as the run in the World Cup continues in a couple of weeks when we get to Altenburg in Germany. And then, of course, we will be Friday, Skeleton Day. Saturday and Sunday will be the start of the Bobsleigh World Cup. Well, Christopher Grotheer keeps his perfect score alive. He is 3 out of 3 wins this season. Matt Weston and Yanqing complete the podium. And outside the top 10, Rasmus Johansson ahead of Sami Meyer, Kim Ji-soo. And there are some PBs this weekend as well, particularly with some of our newer sliders. So there we go. That is it for the Asian leg. We head next to Altenburg in Saxony. And as I said, that will be on Friday in 2 weeks' time. Christopher Grotheer with the perfect score, ahead of Marcus Wyatt and Matt Weston, the top 3 in the World Cup standing. Sami Meyer, Rasmus Johansson and Kim Ji-soo are the top 6. And Yanqing up to 8th place with that bronze medal today. His teammates Lin and Chu also going really well here at home ahead of Chen Wenhao. So busy couple of weeks in Asia. And our athletes now head back to Europe, and we will be racing in Altenburg in Germany. So join us for that Friday for skeleton and Saturday and Sunday for bobsleigh for the women and for the men. So Friday will be December the 6th. So December the 6th, 2 weeks yesterday, 13 days today, will be skeleton day for the men and women, and then 2-man and monobob and 4-man and women's bobsleigh on Saturday and Sunday in Saxony. Until then, from me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew in Yanqing, thanks for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks.